Remember this thickness. This thickness might become the last straw that breaks it. This video is for educational and communication purposes only and does not involve any illicit activities. We've previously discussed the history and disputes between VS Factory and Clean Factory. This episode will delve into more specific details. The content today is a bit on the heavy side. Let's build some suspense and dive right into the content. As everyone knows, VS Factory released this Coke bezel, the V3 version. First, regarding the packaging, the two are quite different. Clean Factory still uses its soft plastic protective case. VS Factory uses a more minimalist hard plastic ring. Honestly, the outer packaging doesn't offer much for a direct comparison. The main goal here is to show you what comes with the VS Factory watch, its external packaging materials. VS Factory also includes this 3A protective film. I'm not sure if they will continue to use this 3A film in the future. For now, at least, they are still using it. In the future, they might not necessarily use this 3A film. They might switch to a single A film, it's possible. Also, VS Factory's transparent packaging bag is specially printed with V3 markings, just in case you don't recognize this is the V3 version. And now we begin a standard comparison. First off, the bezel inserts on both the Clean Factory and VS Factory watches are identical. They are both the V3 ceramic bezel insert. They are sourced from the same parts manufacturer. Looking at them head-on, perhaps the most obvious difference to the naked eye is the red GMT hand. Under direct comparison, a more significant difference emerges. Clean Factory's red GMT hand is a slightly closer match to the color of the ceramic bezel insert. VS Factory's red hand isn't as close a match, it tends to be a bit of a brighter red. On this point, Clean Factory's execution is better. Looking closely, the polish on the hand is better on the Clean Factory than the VS Factory. As for the solid center pinion, Clean Factory's is a bit neater. However, the 3D relief and protrusion of its center pinion are not as well executed as VS Factory's. This is a fine detail that really requires a magnifying glass to distinguish the pros and cons. There's no absolute good or bad with this part. We can more directly see another, more significant difference, which is the Cyclops lens. On the Clean Factory's Cyclops, you can faintly see a hint of a light blue anti-reflective coating. VS Factory's has virtually no coating, just some normal white light reflection. If you browse certain forums or watch Enthusiast sites, the C Factory's application of a blue AR coating on the Cyclops aligns with the finer details of the genuine model's craftsmanship. VS Factory's execution, along with their promotional materials, suggests they believe their non-coated Cyclops is correct. This is certainly debatable. However, VS Factory's crystal does have its merits. The height of the crystal's lower edge is slightly better than Clean Factory's. It's also possible that Clean Factory made it this way to achieve the crystal's edge curvature. From this angle, you can see it more clearly. Clean Factory's curvature is actually correct, but they just didn't control the thickness well. VS Factory's crystal edge is almost the right angle. Another point to add is the bezel's cutout. Clean Factory's cutout is slightly wider. VS Factory's is a bit narrower. In fact, the VS Factory's bezel cutout is actually done slightly better than Clean Factory's. Now for the bracelet. When you open the clasp, you can see that the internal detailing of the Clean Factory bracelet is indeed much better than VS Factory's. This includes the tactile feel of opening and closing the clasp, and the resistance, which are better than VS Factory's. Although both are made of 904L stainless steel, the texture of the Clean Factory's finish is indeed superior to VS Factory's. Let's look at the bracelet codes. VS Factory's is 989, Clean Factory's is F6U. The steel engraving on the Clean Factory is also sharper, and its font thickness is better. Now let's look at their specification, starting with the Clean Factory. First, I'll show the approximate weight of the genuine model for reference. The Clean Factory's weight is about 140 to 0.5 grams. It's very close to the genuine model, off by only about 1 gram. Next is the VS Factory. The VS Factory's approximate weight is 139.1 grams. The difference is close to 5 grams. Since the weight difference isn't in the double digits, maybe people don't mind as much. So let's look at the thickness. The VS Factory's thickness is 11.9 mm. This thickness is close to the genuine model. Remember this thickness might become the last straw that breaks it. Clean Factory's is 0.4 mm thicker than the genuine model. This thickness parameter will affect everyone's long-held perception of Clean Factory. Anyway, the error in Clean Factory's thickness is indeed a bit large. The length including the crown is roughly the same for both, around 44.5 to 44.7 millimeters. Now for some related trivia, at the crown position, VS Factory might have overdone it a bit. The step on the crown is too pronounced on the VS Factory. The step on the genuine model is not so abrupt. Now let's see the effect on the bezel when a UV light is shined on it. Both V3 bezels have the same effect, including its ice blue luminescent coating, which is also about the same. There aren't any major issues. From these reviews, it's clear that VS Factory has great ambition, aiming to surpass Clean Factory. In certain details, they have indeed performed better than Clean Factory, especially the thickness. But in some other details, they are still lacking. The movements in both are the Dandong 3 to 8.5 movement. To briefly summarize the content, VS Factory does two things better than Clean Factory. One is the case thickness, and the other is the bezel stainless steel cutout, which is slightly better than Clean Factory's. The remaining aspects are all slightly better on the Clean Factory. Of course, this includes quality control. Clean Factory is still slightly better. If VS Factory wants to completely dominate Clean Factory, they will need to continue to patiently refine their product. VS Factory does have a chance to surpass Clean Factory. It requires continuous iteration and upgrades. Of course, Clean Factory has its own issues. After such a long time, they still haven't improved the case thickness, which is quite perplexing. That's all for this episode. For more social watch knowledge, follow Ship and Watches, and don't forget to like and subscribe.